But for people who have no concept of what going to jail is like, what is it like when you first go in there?
The first couple of days are heartbreaking because you're taken completely away from family. There's no interaction with anyone except prisoners or the guards. So you have no idea what to expect as far as going through things with the prisoner or the guards, because it can go either way when you first walk through those prison gates. So it's really, even for the toughest person in the world, it's scary because you just don't know what to expect.
And do you have all of your belongings taken away?
Everything. And I went in with extension braids in my hair. They made me sit in the cell and take every braid out of my hair before I was let into population.
I mean, for somebody like who's a billionaire beforehand, somebody like Diddy, it must be completely shocking.
It's actually, I don't think that MDC is for any human being at all. I mean, I'm not saying that no one belongs, you commit a crime, you have to wait to, your trial and everything else, but I don't think that jail is fit for anyone unless they clean up the conditions.
Lots of prisoners complain about lots of different jails and they say that the conditions are not up to scratch. What, in your opinion, makes the MDC stand out? What makes it worse?
What makes it worse is the food. Mostly everything is stale food, is old food that's donated by other people that they wrap up.
For years, Shud Diddy Combs was the pinnacle of success in the music, fashion, and entertainment industries. He built an empire that spanned the music industry and even fashion, and his name was synonymous with luxury and the glamorous lifestyle that came with being a mogul in the entertainment industry. However, following his arrest on September 16, 2024, that same name is now linked to some of the most serious criminal charges imaginable, including trafficking, rackety asterisk earrings.
For you, mostly everything they have is full of not roaches and the giant cockroaches. You can smell the mold, you can smell the rot, you can smell the jail that it needs to be rebuilt. It needs help. I don't think anyone should be in that particular jail.
There are lots of different people inside that jail. We know that there's a wing that houses high-profile prisoners. R. Kelly, Ghislaine Maxwell, now P. Diddy's in there. Are you aware of the high-profile prisoners? Do you have any interaction with them?
I don't have any, and we never had interaction with high-profile prisoners at all.
And one of the main reasons that a lot of people know about the Metropolitan Detention Center was because it made headlines in 2019. And one of the issues they had was keeping their prison population warm. And it gets extremely cold in Brooklyn.
Well, in 2019, something went wrong. They had a power outage. They didn't have any water. They didn't have any lights. They didn't have any heat. And the mayor the city council tried to bring over blankets, and the warden wouldn't accept it. They were banging. My brother called me from a cell phone that was not supposed to be there. And he cried. He said, "Listen, I think I'm gonna die in here." So I panicked. I said, "What the hell you mean? You having problems with a prisoner? Do I have to, call a lawyer or what can I do?" He said, "No, I'm gonna freeze to death." I said, "Freeze?" He said, "Yeah, we don't have no water." So I called the news station and made a whole big show. And I went down there and I, had...
Combs is presently being imprisoned at the MDC, which has long been criticized for its harsh conditions. If you've ever wondered what it's like for someone who has lived a life of luxury to suddenly experience the harsh environment of a maximum security facility, you'll see that the prison paints a grim picture of the harsh realities that those inside its walls must face. Inmates frequently describe the facility as a hell on earth.
Diddy is now being accused of obstructing justice.
Diddy running the jail, man. He's running the spot.
Right. According to you, the inmates are fighting over making his bed.
Yep. Well, really, according to Lisa Evers, I want to give her credit. Lisa Evers does an amazing job covering all things, within the New York metropolitan area. She interviewed an inmate that spent some time at MDC Brooklyn alongside Diddy. And, remember, we're all thinking that Diddy's like in super isolation. He doesn't talk to no inmates. We later find out via even court filings by the government, he does. And this one inmate looked like he's not wrong because he says, "Hey, listen, Diddy's such a big player in the game in terms of, his power and he's that guy even in jail. Dudes are getting jealous at other dudes based on who made his bed." And I'm like, yo.
So that's a real thing? People are actually making his bed?
Yeah.
I thought you were just joking.
Listen, there's an inmate that said it. There's an inmate that said it, that Lisa Evers, who works for Fox 5.
No, I know Lisa.
Yeah.
I've done her show before.
Of course. So
yeah.
that's what that inmate said. And I think some people wanted to call it cap till we realized that, you know, the filing that came out on Friday or Thursday by the government, which is a response to Diddy's new motion for bail, essentially said Diddy is using like 8 other inmates like personal access codes to call everybody he wants.
Exactly.
It's like, add this person to the
MDC Cones, like many high-profile inmates, is likely under the scrutiny of those around him, so the risk of harm is not only physical but also psychological. Inmates are frequently left to fend for themselves, and without prompt medical intervention, what begins as a simple ailment can quickly turn into something far more dangerous. The mental toll of such an environment can be just as crippling as the physical.
add this person. Yo, like he's running the jail. So these inmates, I completely believe, and by the way, this is how the government paints it. He's getting them paid directly through what they call these cash processing systems.
Yeah.
So, you know, probably tells his people, yo, send her $1,000. Send his mom, send his girl, cool. And then the inmate in there with him is like, yo, we gonna have your commissary filled. You're gonna move around like a king like me. So I get why this is happening. And the only thing I look at is like, why did people believe or think anything otherwise? Like, you think you're gonna normalize a billionaire that could have any type, like, if Diddy walked in a room and you know this guy's of significant money, power, and even respect, despite whatever happened, and y'all are all in jail, you're not gonna be like, yo, bro, he usually don't gotta bring his tray over there to throw it away. Nah, I'll do it, because I wanna be cool with him. I got my people outside, like, shit, I have a public defender. This guy is spending $2 million a month on lawyers. He could throw me, even if he throws me $2,500. Hey, nobody can touch Diddy in here. Matter of fact, I'm gonna act like I could be the most bitch-made dude. Hey, I'm just letting y'all know, anybody wanna get to him, y'all gotta go through me. I'll take the ass whooping for it. So this kind of sounds normal. However, I think people thought Diddy was done when he got to jail. Like, okay, you're finally a regular person. And they're realizing, you know, Diddy didn't work all them years to get billions just to get locked up, and those billions can't help him, right?
Right. He still did it.
Yeah, he still did it. Come on.
Well, I mean, I went through the filings and the reports. So what they say, according, to the feds, that recorded
Escalates swiftly, frequently with fatal results for someone like Combs. Accustomed to a life of luxury and security, the sudden exposure to violence is a dangerous shock to the system. In June 2024, an inmate named Uriel White was stabbed to death, and the following month, Edwin Cordo died after.
Combs has been denied bail in connection with the sexual abuse and sex trafficking charges he faces. And as Les Trent reports, the music mogul who once traveled by private jet to all those mansions is now in a jail that is notorious for its bad living conditions.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs spent his first night behind bars inside a facility that is being called Hell on Earth. The Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn is notorious for its appalling living conditions and rampant violence. How bad is it inside this federal lockup? There have been 2 murders, 4 suicides, and numerous stabbings and lockdowns in recent years. It's so out of control inside that 4 federal judges are reportedly refusing to send any more prisoners here. Donald Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen, spent a harrowing year in federal custody. He says for someone used to a life of luxury like Diddy, prison life is a severe shock.
You have a desk, you have a plastic chair, you have your bed with a 1.5-inch mattress, no pillow, and you also have a locker. So you basically have 3 feet by 5 feet to move around. So you have a basic 15 square feet. It is a horrible, horrible place.
Diddy's lawyers were so eager to keep him out of jail, they offered his palatial $48 million home in Miami Beach and his private jets as bail. Today, they are even offering to restrict female visitors to his homes, except for his mother, daughters.
In a prison where adequate medical care is often a luxury few receive, the health risks are compounded.
The fact that Combs has reportedly started refusing meals at the facility adds even more complexity to his situation. This behavior is attributed to his growing fear that he may be poisoned in such a high-stakes environment where trust is scarce and danger is present everywhere. It's easy to understand why Combs would be cautious of what is placed in front of him. Many high-profile inmates fear retaliation from other inmates or even staff. Although his refusal to eat may seem extreme, it reflects the profound paranoia that comes with being in such a hostile and unpredictable environment. Diddy's calls revealed that
Diddy Combs back in a New York City courtroom, we believe right about now, as he tries to appeal a judge's ruling, which denied him bail and sent him to jail as he awaits trial in the explosive sex trafficking and racketeering case against him. Prosecutors describe a large criminal ring orchestrated by Combs to sexually abuse dozens of women, drugging them, beating them, and recording sexual acts for at least 15 years. The move from the judge to hold the musician mogul in jail before his trial comes as prosecutors argue Combs, his massive wealth, makes him a flight risk. And they're also accusing him of witness tampering, trying to keep both them, witnesses, and his victims silent. Combs' team offered a $50 million bond agreement, with his attorney claiming Combs is, in his words, eminently trustworthy. The judge didn't buy it. It is a stunning fall from the height of pop culture. Combs, however, is pleading not guilty and has denied any wrongdoing. Let's bring in NBC's Chloe Malas for more. And Chloe, there are no phones, no electronics allowed in court.
We actually have breaking news. We have some breaking news right now. According to NBC News, just moments ago, I'm reading off my phone right now, Sean Diddy Combs will not be released. And this is per the district attorney's office. So let me explain and silence my phone and break down what exactly that means, or else my kids will call me during this entire segment. So this basically means, Tom, that now Sean Diddy Combs sits behind bars until this potentially goes to trial. Why do I say potentially? Even though his attorney, Mark Agnifilo, spoke to CNN last night and said that it is very unlikely that he would accept any sort of a plea deal. And we don't even know if a plea deal would even be on the table with these very...
But it's not just the rats and the poor sanitation that pose a danger to Combs. It's the constant threat of...
Fight the accusations and occasionally cather in when you're a victim of sex crimes or human trafficking. Money can't always make you happy.
Charges of racketeering, transportation when it comes to prostitution and sex trafficking. We do know that this could be potentially a year behind bars. I was talking to NBC's legal analyst and correspondent Laura Jarrett earlier today. And, you know, there's so many motions and, so much discovery to do, as you know, and you've covered things like this, I'm sure, that it takes a while to get ready for a big criminal trial like this when there's so many charges and so many different grand jury subpoenas and things like that. So currently, though, he is in jail. And that's what it is. Everybody asks me the difference between jail and prison. You go to prison after you've been found guilty. Right now, he's in jail, and he's in jail in Brooklyn. And this is one of the main issues that his legal team had, was that this detention center in Brooklyn has seen suicides. It saw somebody get killed over the summer, food contamination, overcrowding, and they listed all of this in their filing to the judge. But clearly, this federal judge was not persuaded, Tom. And so now that's it. He stays behind bars while he waits to have this tried in court.
Well, he is a celebrity. That's an understatement. He is an icon. And what are the chances that he gets any sort of preferential or royal treatment in the jail? Or, given the charges that are so significant and serious against him, is he going to be treated like any other inmate?
Do you see any of these people, despite the fact that Sh Diddy's fall from grace is a potent reminder of how swiftly things can go from the pinnacles of fame to the depths of federal detention? Whether it's men or women coming forward later, his tale is one of profound transformation.
Calls made by Diddy show that he asked family members to reach out to potential victims and witnesses. Also urged them to create narratives to influence the jury pool. Also encourage them to make marketing strategies to sway the public opinion. Diddy used the telephone accounts of at least 8 different inmates to avoid monitoring. He paid the inmates to intermediaries in violation of the rules, like you said, and he also was using 3-way calls and getting people on the phone, which is illegal. So basically what they said, the defendant has shown repeatedly, even while in custody, that he will flagrantly and repeatedly flout rules in order to improperly impact the outcome of the case. The defendant has shown, in other words, that he cannot be trusted to abide by rules or conditions. And I guess they actually found a note that inferred that he wants to blackmail victims and witnesses into silence by providing testimony, or into providing testimony that's actually helpful to his defense. So I guess what I'm wondering is, he does realize all this is being taped. You're using someone else's, privileges, but they're watching everything.
Okay.
A three-way call, it's being recorded.
So my takeaway was much different from that. My takeaway was, I'm gonna wait for the government to file a superseding indictment, which we all believe is coming, because right now it looks a little thin. And it looks a little pathetic, I'm gonna be honest with you. Because yes, it's great to make Diddy look like this maniacal mob boss, which, of course he's using the influence of his money. But does anyone,
is uncertain if he will survive this nightmare, but one thing is for sure, his life will never be the same. This cautionary tale demonstrates how brittle fame can be and how quickly a person's world can fall apart when confronted with title.
Person who never ever dealt with someone in jail. How many inmates, and Vlad, no names here, how many inmates do you know that do three-way call? They all do it.
Yeah.
They all do it.
I talk to inmates
and it's always
on cell phones while locked up in Rikers.
Exactly. And
not going to say who.
And no one is saying, yo, Vlad, this is to influence my case. Sometimes they just call, be like, yo, what's the word out there, man? Everything good? You're like, yeah, I'm going to come home soon. It's all good. Blah. Sometimes it's never. So that I thought was a little bit thin. Obviously, they're trying to keep him in jail. Him putting money on other people's books. Yeah, he's a rich guy. He wants to have his privileges, right? Now, this whole thing of him trying to blackmail people, and I hate to even, because some people are going to be like, oh, no, he's getting Diddy's back. No, I'm defending someone who is, and this could be anybody, who's locked up and using whatever he can to his advantage to try to get things looking better for himself before he goes to trial.
Yeah, but some of this stuff is illegal. You can't
everybody does it.
You can't, it doesn't matter if everyone else does it. For everyone else, it'll be a slap on the wrist. Everyone knows this is a big fish. No slaps on the wrist when it comes to Diddy. They're going to prosecute him to the fullest extent in order to...
After being hurt in a violent brawl. These incidents are just a glimpse into the harsh and unforgiving environment of MDC, where disputes over seemingly trivial matters can lead to fatal outcomes.
Incredibly hard to say, right? When you see, and I don't want to generalize here, but when you do see, let's say, accusations against minors, which we don't see in this indictment. You can sometimes see some of these high-profile alleged criminals maybe put into solitary confinement. Will he be treated like any other inmate while he's in this detention center in Brooklyn? It's sort of left to be seen. I think that over the coming weeks, we'll see what happens and what types of motions that his team files if they feel as though he is under immediate threat, or if he gets, beat up in prison or in jail. See, I made that mistake. If he gets beat up in jail or if something like that happens, I guess maybe always things could change. I mean, look at Harvey Weinstein, for example. Not that I want to compare the two, but Harvey Weinstein has been been treated in a medical ward because he has all of these medical issues, right? And so the judge had decided even today that he can still stay in the medical ward. So again, I think it's a case-by-case basis, and we have to see how this all plays out. But let's just put it this way. Sean Diddy Combs is a billionaire. He achieved billionaire status in 2022. He is not going to be happy, Tom, being in jail. And this is a far cry from his multi-million-dollar homes all across this country. So obviously it's a huge fall from grace for somebody that was such a pioneer in the music industry.
Yeah, but to your point, Chloe, if it were you or me, not suggesting either one of us would ever face these kinds of charges, but there is no way we'd be out on bail or bond, right? I mean, these are incredibly serious charges that could land him in prison for years and years and years.
Overcrowded, unsanitary, and violent. Just look at MDC's current status. Allegations of rat infestations, declining health, and ongoing violence present a terrible picture of the establishment.
Like I said, because you're in prison and you're serving time, or you're waiting, to go to court or to go to trial or whatever it is, does not mean that you're not a human being. Just like what's going on with Diddy, he still deserves to be treated as a human being. He still deserves a fair trial, innocent before proven guilty. Whatever happened to that?
So how do you keep yourself entertained throughout the day? What do you do?
Well, I read books. I read books and I daydreamed a lot. Like literally just to keep my head on straight. I prayed a lot.
So we were just hearing from Katana Yehuda about what it's like to stay inside the Metropolitan Detention Center. Andrew Dalek is a New York-based federal public defender, and he's represented lots of clients who have served time there. Andrew, is it really as bad as people say?
Well, first, Anushka, I want to thank you and the BBC for taking an interest in the conditions at MDC Brooklyn, because it is an important issue of significant public interest. Anybody who has a loved one detained in that facility, that they deeply care about their well-being and their safety there, and they have good reason to. It is as bad of a place as people say it is, but the crux of the issue really is a conflation of, I think, three factors that sort of work together to create a perfect storm. The first is chronic understaffing. So the jail is routinely operating at anywhere from 2/3 to 75% sort of capacity at best at any given point. The second is overcrowdedness. There's just too